Yes!
Tapestry is the newest release from Stonemaier Games, a game about creating and running a civilization throughout the eras of time. During the game, you will take actions by spending resources to move up on one of 4 varying tracks, determining what you will do during your turn. The winning civilization will be the civilization that scores the most points by best allocating their resources to move up on the varying tracks and utilizing your tapestry cards to the best of their abilities. Now, we will describe the 5 elements of the game that we liked and 2 that could use some improvement.
The first thing that we really enjoy about Tapestry is the sheer variety of faction abilities. So in the game, you select a faction to begin with, and this has a small impact on your gameplay. Some of you can be traders, some of you can be militants, some of you are the chosen by, I guess, the creator of the game to be more powerful than other civilizations. And this has a slight function on how you approach gameplay. It might mean that you emphasize exploration more. It might mean that you emphasize combat more. It just affects your gameplay in little ways, and the broad variety of them and the ability to acquire more of them throughout gameplay makes for a really interesting and sort of compelling system. One other important thing about the variable faction powers is that there's enduring support for them. Stonemaier Games has actually published errata for some of these factions that can bring them more in line with the others and make sure that they're balanced. So the fact that they're still continuing to think about this, the fact that there's ongoing support, is really nice.
Another great thing about this game is that there are 4 tracks that you move up on during the game, and this limits each turn that you take to one of 4 different options unless you're moving to the next era. This helps eliminate analysis paralysis and gives people some direction to go early in the game when they're not sure what to do.
The tracks themselves are pretty varied, and each of them has its own unique mechanic that goes along with it. For the science track, you'll be rolling on the science die to maybe get some free advancements on the other tracks. For the exploration track, that uniquely interacts with the tile mechanic that allows you to explore new territory. Each of these things is really unique and kind of flavors your gameplay to whichever of those you're most interested in. Additionally, on the tracks there are things called landmarks that represent certain milestones that civilizations have achieved, and only the first player to reach that landmark gets to claim it. So there's a little bit of a horse race involved that kind of almost becomes its own minigame where you're competing with the other players. It's really fun.
Another element to the game that is very interesting is that you will go through a number of eras throughout the game. In order to advance to another era, you will collect resources and also be able to play a tapestry card from your hand. These tapestry cards are really where some of the unique gameplay comes in between the different factions, and this is really where you'll start to see the story of the game unfold before you. And unlike another Civilization game, in this game, it is more like an enduring story over the course of time rather than just trying to make the best civilization. Another interesting element of this era advancement system is that each person advances to the next era when they are ready to advance and not at the same time. So if you have spent all of your resources faster than everyone else, then you will move on and play a card to go to the next era. This will have a few small effects, but will not imbalance the game for the other players.
One final element that we really enjoy is your capital mat. Each civilization starts with a capital that represents, well, their capital city. And on this mat, it's divided into 9 sections, each of which is further divided into 9 squares. On those squares, you can place buildings, either small buildings that you earn for achieving bonuses on the tracks, or those landmarks that we mentioned earlier for achieving milestones. As you fill in rows, columns, and completed sections of the capital mat, you unlock bonuses, whether that's additional resources or even points at the end of the game. This is another really fun element that's impactful, and again, also forms this really compelling little minigame, this spatial puzzle that you can play that supports core gameplay.
All of those positives being what they are, there are still a few things about this game that we could see could use some improvement. The first of those things are the technology cards. Technology cards are, in some ways, a bit of a thematic disconnect from the rest of the game. They allow you to get some small bonus abilities if you go up on the technology track, but it's very strange when, in the first era, you can buy the transistor card. And there's nothing on the card that lets you understand that the card is improving throughout the game, except for the symbols that tell you the bonuses. So perhaps would have been better if the card had multiple types of technologies on it that were similar to the eras that you were in.
Finally, we think it's important to acknowledge that there's a little bit of suffering from their own expectations and their own hype with Tapestry. Obviously, this is a civilization builder game. You're building a civilization, you're managing the story of it. But it kind of functions in a different way to a lot of other civilization builders, and I think that creates a disconnect for people who are playing this game. A lot of people are going to come into this expecting engine building, expecting to be able to invest in technologies or things that then pay off later down the track. And instead, you're kind of just constructing a series of one-off bonuses or era bonuses that only function temporarily. So there's an element of, I hate to say it, but almost a bait and switch here, where what you think you're getting isn't quite the experience that you end up getting. It's still very enjoyable, but you just have to know what you're getting into.
There you have it. Those are the 5 things we liked about Tapestry and the 2 things that we didn't and we thought we could really use a little bit of improvement. Thank you for joining us for this video, and we really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely check out our other media. We have some Twitch streams. We also have a podcast, other things like that. So check those out in the description. And be sure to subscribe to this channel for more 5 things videos like this, as well as some cool interviews and things like that. As always, we'd like to thank our Patreon patrons, Casey, Carissa, and Sam. We really appreciate your support. It really helps keep us on the air and lets us do a lot of the cool stuff that we do. And other than that, thanks for watching and have a great day.